What is the most effed up true story you know? It's effed up because it happened to me. Met a girl when I was 25, she was 22. Dated for 3 years and eventually got married. She was a very wonderful person and I couldn't ask for a better girlfriend. While we were planning a wedding, she mentioned that her ex-boyfriend offered to DJ for free. They dated for 3 years when she was 15 to 18, and it was a clean breakup. He was also married, so I really didn't have a problem with it. I mean, free DJ service. So, we get married and go to the reception. Everyone is having a grand time. I was talking with a buddy of mine and in the corner of my eye, I see the DJ ex-boyfriend staring at something. I look over and he's staring at my wife, who looked amazing, and my wife was staring back at him. I continued to talk to my buddy but kept an eye on them. She was across the room but they smiled at each other and she started looking around the room probably for me, but I was pretty well hidden. My wife walked towards the bathroom area and the DJ asked his assistant to take over and started walking in the same direction. I started to panic inside. I excused myself and walk in the direction. Couldn't find either one. There were 3 bathrooms, one for men, one for women, and a family bathroom that locked inside. I went into the men's room, no one there. I waited for a few minutes and the family bathroom opened up and my wife saw me and tried to get me to go dance, but I wasn't budging. The guy eventually came out few minutes later, and my wife swore up and down that he was just helping her with her dress. I left. She called my phone and again swore that nothing happened. We talked about it the next day but I couldn't grasp why she would need him, of all people, to help with that sort of thing. I was able to get an annulment. I never remarried.
What is a personal story you have that you don't tell because it sounds made up? I was in college and was at a bar drinking with my friends. I went to get a drink at the bar but it was packed, so I had to find a spot and it ended up being away from my friends. I was already a little drunk, so I started chatting to the guy next to me while I waited to be served. He was a bit older than me but not like ancient, so I just had a friendly conversation. Anyway, he ends up asking me if I can get him some pills. Said he had back problems and wanted painkillers. I was drunk, so I was like, yeah sure, I know a guy, I will see if he can get you some. And I went to the bathroom to text him. But when I was in the bathroom I had a change of heart and I thought more about it and decided I wasn't going to help him. I was thinking about how painkillers have messed up some of my friends, so I wasn't going to be a part of it. I went back to the guy who was still waiting and I said, you know what? Screw that, painkillers are bad and will lead to bad things. I have too many friends that have had their lives screwed up on those and I am not going to help you out. Good luck. I went to turn to leave but before I could, he pulled out his wallet and flashed a badge and then said, good decision. I was shocked and relieved and all the emotions all at once. I was so happy I didn't give my buddy away or anything else. I was so glad. Anyway, he then asked me not to say anything to anyone and said he normally never reveals that he's undercover, but could tell that in my heart I'd had some friends get screwed up on it and wanted to let me know he wasn't going to go down that path. I've told my friends about it later but nobody has ever believed me. I can still see the badge in my head right now, had little dots on the ends of the star. My neighbor who thought I was gay my whole life found out I'm in fact straight, the hard way. I, 25 male, have grown up beside these neighbors, 50s female and 50s male, my whole life, and close to their daughter, 24 female. We spent almost all of our time together. Her mom has always thought I was feminine, not quite right, and just funny. Bet she thought I was frickin' hilarious last night walking in on me deep in her daughter. I came home to my parents' house from working out of state, and the neighbor's daughter saw me pull in. We talked, reconnected, and decided to chill since her parents were out of town, and she was house sitting. We rode around listening to music, smoking her up, dinner, and lil Netflix and chill. One thing lead to another, and eventually had her legs hanging on my shoulders, making it sound like mac and cheese. We didn't hear the door, but we heard the, oh my god. I'm diving for my clothes, her mom's freaking out, and she's covering herself with a blanket. I go running out of the front door with just shorts on as her dad's carrying stuff to the door. I hopped into my car, and drove off like a bat out of hell. Now I'm sitting here beside the lake in my car. My mom texted me saying neighbors are furious, and we all need to talk this out. My dad called trying to be stern, but knowing that we were both adults, and grew up together, he just said he's surprised it didn't happen sooner. I told my sister that her boyfriend was cheating on her and she tried to kick me out. Then, I hooked up with her boyfriend, too. My sister is 2 years older than me, but she always acts like a big baby. She always needs to have the nicer makeup, the bigger room, the larger birthday party, and it's like she's obsessed with trying to prove that she's better than me. I don't know where this fixation came from, but it's ruined our friendship over the past few years. I also think that her obsession with winning at everything has led to her making a lot of bad decisions, especially in regards to relationships. For example, around 6 months ago, I started dating a sophomore on the school's volleyball team. 2 weeks later, I discovered that my sister was dating the volleyball team captain. But the volleyball team captain is an incredibly well-liked person at our school, and he's known for being very hardworking, responsible, and studious, while also being a high-achieving athlete. The thing is, my sister is the absolute opposite. She doesn't care about her grades, participates in no sports, and she doesn't really have many friends either. She has nothing in common with the volleyball team captain except for me also dating a guy who was into volleyball. I tried not to care too much about it because my own relationship was stable, but finally, I broke it off with my boyfriend because my sister kept having us go on double dates, and I finally figured out that I didn't like the guy enough to stomach my sister hanging around us all the time. 6 months later, my sister is still dating the captain. Apparently, he's tried to break up with her multiple times, but she always begs him to stay and insists that she'll change, based on what I've heard from their FaceTime calls. In any case, I think the guy's methods have shifted from trying to break up with her to trying to get her to break up with him. He started going on dates with other girls, and when I told my sister about it, she started screaming at me for daring to spy on her boyfriend. She even went to our parents to tell them what had happened, hoping they'd send me off to our aunt's house as punishment, but my parents just rolled their eyes at her once I explained what had really happened. Still, I was furious by this point. My sister had finally aggravated me, and she was not ready for what I was going to do next. Go to part 2. I told my sister that her boyfriend was cheating on her and she tried to kick me out. Then, I hooked up with her boyfriend. 2. Part 2 halves. After my older sister got into a relationship with our school's volleyball captain, just to one-up me after I had a brief fling with a different starter on the team, their relationship nosedived and the captain started cheating on her so that she would finally let him break up with her. I had made a big mistake by choosing myself to be the person to tell her about her boyfriend's activities, though. My sister immediately got mad at me and started accusing me of trying to steal her boyfriend, of convincing him to go on dates with other girls in hopes that she might notice me, and of being the reason why she and her boyfriend didn't get along. Keep in mind that, other than the few uncomfortable double dates my sister forced us to have, I had not spoken more than 10 words to this guy, ever. Finally, I got mad at my sister and told her that if she kept painting me as the bad guy in her life, then I might start acting like one. She said I couldn't possibly do anything more awful to her than what I had already done, so I thought to myself, why bother being the bigger person when my sister is so clearly determined to hate me? In my anger, I went out and met her boyfriend at a party. I didn't go to the party just to see him, but once we got there and had a little bit of alcohol in our systems, a hookup was only natural. We didn't go super far, but her boyfriend revealed to me that he had still gone further with me than he had gone with my sister, and I sent her a picture on Snapchat of us together with that line as a quote. Unsurprisingly, my sister started bawling when I got home, screaming at me for everything. I didn't want to deal with her anymore. She kept shouting at me for always taking everything from her and how I was an awful sister, but I couldn't bring myself to care after how awful she has treated me after all these years. I might even enter a relationship with this captain just to spite her because, really, it seems like spitting at me is all she cares about doing. My drug addict mother-in-law refuses to leave my family alone. Please help. My mother-in-law has always had substance abuse issues, but I never could have imagined how awful an impact she could have on my family. My husband and I decided as a family around 3 years ago that unless my mother-in-law became clean, we would not allow her to hang around our very young, very impressionable children. At the time, she said she understood and that she was going to work hard to become a woman who could forge a life in our kids' lives, and she did, for around 6 months. In that time period, she was a phenomenal grandmother. My children bonded to her immediately. I was honestly really grateful for her, and we had a few heart-to-hearts where we connected like an actual mother and daughter. Then, my mother-in-law's husband passed away, she started taking substances again, and she quickly became much more addicted than she ever was in the first place. My 2 children still remember how loving and wholesome she was in those 6 months when their relationship was good, so when they hear her outside our house, wailing and begging to be let in to see them, they get upset and want to see her. However, my mother-in-law is very physically violent when she's like this. She refuses to leave, and her constant visits are both terrifying for us to hear and agonizing for my children to bear, as they can't understand why we won't let them see Granny. I am at a loss for what to do. I desperately want her to have a presence in my kid's life, but I would never put someone so mentally unstable in the same room as them. I'm starting to think that the police might be the only path out, but is there anything else I can do? What do you think? I'm in love with my boyfriend's best friend and it's ruining my life. Please help. I've been dating my boyfriend for 7 years. We aren't even high school sweethearts, we're middle school sweethearts, and our families are incredibly close. I've had all my firsts with this guy, he's truly special, but as we're growing older, I keep realizing that I don't actually love him the way I used to. It's not his fault, he hasn't done anything. And, honestly, given that I've already spent so many years with him, I might just endure it for comfort's sake and let the 2 of us get married, if not for the fact that I'm in love with my boyfriend's best friend. The best friend in question, let's call him Ethan, has probably figured it out. I think he secretly likes me, too, because he's always holding doors for me, always buying me nice surprise presents, and the 2 of us hang out together a lot. We've never been intimate in any way. In fact, I've never even sat on the same bed as Ethan simply because I respect my actual boyfriend too much to possibly break his trust, but there's a special connection I have with Ethan that makes me feel like I can truly speak with him about anything and he'll understand what I mean. Here's the reason why I can't break up with my boyfriend. He has stage 4 cancer. I've been told in no unclear terms by his family that if I do anything to hurt him right now, it could kill him. So, every week for months, I go from feeling so fulfilled with Ethan to returning back to my actual boyfriend, where I only feel chained. But if I break his heart and leave, He probably won't be able to take it. I would be a literal murderer. The worst part is that I've been hearing from his siblings that my boyfriend is looking to propose to me soon, just so that he doesn't die with any regrets. But if I say yes and he lives, then my life may become a regret. I have no clue what to do. Please help. My sister told all my friends I'm a virgin, so I told our family her actual body count. My sister is a big hypocrite. She likes to preach about feminism and how ridiculous it is that women are shamed for their sexuality while men aren't, and she refuses to acknowledge that guys, too, can be hurt by stereotypes around sexuality. In particular, we've argued over how it's often a subject of mockery when a man is a virgin, whereas women are praised for it. However, my sister has always said that a man should be able to tolerate purity culture a little bit since women have to live with it, and that this double standard doesn't matter. I agree that women shouldn't be critiqued any differently than men for their behavior, but I think that goes both ways and that, overall, everyone should just keep their intimate relationships to themselves. For reference, I'm a little conservative, I guess. My girlfriend of 3 years and I have never been intimate, as we're both saving ourselves for marriage. But during a conversation about purity culture at a party, when everyone was a little drunk, my sister shut down my entire argument by saying that she was tired of arguing about sexuality with a virgin and that I needed to shut up. The thing is, me being a virgin and even my faith was something I kept private. My friends were shocked to hear the truth and immediately started laughing at me. I tried to shout at my sister, telling her she was being hypocritical for using my own sexuality, or lack thereof, as a weapon when she's constantly preaching about how ridiculous it is that the same thing happens to women, but she basically said, "Oh yeah? Well, what are you going to do about it?" I guess she forgot that the two of us were going to a family function the following week. After carefully plotting my revenge, I decided that I was going to reveal her body count to our family and give her the exact same treatment she had given me. I never could have expected what would happen after I told our family the truth, though. My sister told all my friends I'm a virgin, so I told our family her actual body count. Part 2 halves. After my sister outed me as a virgin to my friends, I was still upset when the two of us went to a family function around a week later. However, I promised myself that I would only lash out at her if she did something to provoke it so that I didn't look like a baby in front of our family. During the big dinner, when we had all the significant others, cousins, aunts, uncles, and grandparents together, my sister started complaining yet again about the double standards. She started criticizing a lot of people in the room for not being enough of a feminist, including me. That's when I got mad. I said, "Well, you want men and women to be treated equally, right?" And obviously, she responded in the affirmative. So I continued, saying, "So it's okay for me to tell everyone about your relationships, since you told my friends about mine last week, right?" She hesitated here for a little bit and tried to avoid the question, but I was too mad at this point. I announced, to everyone in the room, that at least I hadn't slept with over 100 different men during college. She immediately denied it, saying I was making up lies to make her look bad. But then I started counting off the different situationships and flings she had, and my family started recognizing the names. I don't think they actually believed that she was intimate with 100 different guys, but everyone in the room realized that she had definitely had multiple boyfriends and presumably slept with all of them, given her beliefs around purity culture. My parents immediately shut down the family function and left, saying that they had to do some thinking, and I later found out that they're telling her that they're going to stop paying for her apartment if she doesn't find a way to keep her relationships private. She's still fighting back, saying that her intimate relationship shouldn't be criticized this way and that I intentionally did this to hurt her, but honestly, she started it when she used my virginity against me to hurt me. She may be out of an apartment, but I'm the butt of all jokes in my friend group now, but I can see how those aren't exactly equal, even though my sister really brought this upon herself. So, should I talk to my parents to help her out and apologize? Am I really the asshole? My credit was perfect. Then, my bank sold the house I was living in. The thing is, I hadn't done anything wrong. All my payments were on time. I had good credit, and I was paying taxes and all. But then, I received paperwork saying that my house had been sold. When the new owners kicked me and my 3 kids out, I was shocked. At first, I thought someone was trying to steal my identity. It was a really confusing time, so I tried to find a lawyer to help me out. The thing was, all the lawyers I talked to were somehow connected to the bank, and the one lawyer I managed to get was scared off the case by the bank. No one could help me, so without enough money to spend on a lawyer, I used whatever feeble resources I had, my trusty laptop, printer, and access to the county court law library. For the next 2 years, I had to write an insane amount of legal papers, gather documents I'd never even heard of, and go to court all by myself. Right before the court case was actually about to happen, we had to start to choose a jury. The day I was going to meet the first batch of people, something unexpected happened. The bank lawyers reached out with an offer to settle the case. In the end, my kids, who are all grown up now, each got a brand new car, and I found a nice place to live by the beach. On the bank's dime, of course. I spent a long time trying to figure out why the bank would change their mind at the very last minute, and another lawyer I spoke to finally explained that the bank's lawyers probably knew that no lawyer would testify against them, and they never expected me to have the finesse to do anything on my own. They realized I was serious once it was time to pick a jury, so they decided to settle because they were worried that if the case went to trial, everyone would find out what they did. It would become public, and everyone would know that they lied, cheated, and tricked hard-working people out of their homes. I can't say I have any respect for the bank, but I guess all that hard work paid off. I can't say it was worth the mental stress, though. What's the cringiest thing you've ever seen at a wedding? I hate to admit that the cringiest story is, in fact, from my own wedding. We had basically planned for my husband's family friend, who is a pastor, to be our officiant. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I'm open to different beliefs, so I never raised any questions about this. My family as a whole is a bit agnostic or atheistic. By contrast, my husband's late mother was a Sunday school teacher, and his family is quite religious. So, we went to the pastor's house to discuss our wedding plans. During the conversation, he asked me if I wanted to center our marriage around God. Speaking honestly, I said no. Things got awkward really fast. We started going back and forth about why I didn't accept Jesus and how he thought it was not right. The pastor was also a little upset that we were having our wedding at a country club. Eventually, he refused to officiate our wedding. My husband was devastated since this was his friend, but luckily we got our town's mayor to step in and marry us. I ended up creating our own ceremony from scratch and wrote the whole thing myself. However, the mayor had recently had knee surgery and couldn't stand for very long. She mentioned to us privately that she hoped to do this quickly, and in her rush, she misread a bit of what I had written. She even called my husband by the wrong name multiple times instead of his actual name. It was pretty funny because she was on painkillers and went off script for a bit. It honestly reminded us of that movie I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. She even did the whole marriage as a circle thing. We had to hold back our laughter. And you won't believe this, but that pastor showed up and watched the entire ceremony. We even took a picture with him at our wedding. But guess what? He cropped us out and made it his profile picture, along with his wife. Despite all the weird stuff, though, I could not be happier 30 years later. A wedding doesn't make a marriage, the people do.